Hi everyone, this is Lino from Trading Edge, and in today's video I will present you the fully backtested Bitcoin solar eclipse trading strategy. Fully backtested. Every single statement in this strategy is based on historical performance, fully backtested, without any theoretical concepts about the eclipses, without any hearsay, what people are saying about the eclipses and what we have read in books about the eclipses. This is only figures backtested on the Bitcoin market. So this is table number 2, and the strategy begins from table number 2. These are the Bitcoin daily closing candles on the solar and lunar eclipses. As there is a lot going on in those eclipse cycles, I have divided the strategies into two completely separate strategies: the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse trading strategies. Today I'm going to talk only about the solar eclipse trading strategy. The first thing we need to know is what type of solar eclipse we're going to have. And on the 8th of April 2024 we're going to have a total solar eclipse. So we come to this table and we find the performance, the historical performance of Bitcoin on total solar eclipses, and these are the results. So I have counted all of those daily closing candles, red and green. I have obtained this result. 67% of the time the total solar eclipses have closed on red candle on the Bitcoin market. So this is now the first information we are getting from our backtesting about a total solar eclipse on the Bitcoin market. And then we move to table number 3, which gives us the Bitcoin daily closing candles on the solar and lunar eclipses through the signs of the zodiac. So this time I have laid out the same closing candles in a different way in the signs of the zodiac. As this year the eclipse will be in Aries, we're looking only in the first column. And the rows, we have some eclipses in Aries here. You can see that they're on the rows of the lunar eclipses, so we're not interested in them. We're looking for a solar eclipse previously in Aries, and there is only one, which took place last year on the 20th of April 2023, and that was on 29 degrees of Aries, and that closed on a red candle. So this year we're going to have an eclipse in Aries on 19 degrees of Aries on the 8th of April. So the conclusion is that the likelihood of a red candle is higher, because historically the Aries solar eclipse have performed with a red candle. So far we have two backtested results about the daily closing candle, and both of them are suggesting a red closing candle for this year's solar eclipse in Aries. Right, apart from the daily closing candles, I want to know what is happening with the full cycle of those eclipses, and what made me want to know that is because I really got sick of people repeating all the time the eclipses, and everyone is making it look like it's super important, but nobody can pin down to say in what way it is important. Is that gonna be a red cycle, a green cycle, a volatile cycle, a flat cycle? How actually is the solar eclipse going to perform on the Bitcoin market? And it turned out that nobody has done any backtesting to tell us anything concrete. So I rolled up my sleeves and I did it. And I did the hell out of those, both of those cycles, the solar eclipse cycle and the lunar eclipse cycle. I backtested the hell out of them. So not only the daily closing candles, they are of very little importance, but I always start my research with the daily closing candles, because I like analyzing daily closing candles. Right, And also we have to start from somewhere. So if we're going to be discussing a cycle, we might as well start from the daily candle, the beginning of the cycle, right? So after we obtain now information about the daily closing candle on the 8th of April, the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to look at the backtesting in a different table. This is table number 5, where I have backtested the 28 days after the solar eclipse and the 3 days before the solar eclipse, just to have a little bit of information about the 3 days before. So this is investigation number 1 of the solar eclipse cycle, this table number 5. And this is what I'm finding here. This row here is giving us the daily closing candles, which I already looked at. So when all the solar eclipses are backtested as if they have equal weight, equal importance, right? 58% of the time historically they have closed on a red candle, 42% historically have closed on a green candle. However, I decided to give the total solar eclipses a different category, just to backtest them separately, because this year we're having a total solar eclipse. So I thought, let me just check the significance of the total solar eclipse, given that that's what we're going to have in April. So when I backtested only the total solar eclipses, and these are 9 total solar eclipses from the beginning of Bitcoin, I've marked them here in those columns. If they're total, they're 9 in total, right? So when I have backtested them, I got 67% historical closure on a red candle and 33% historical closure on a green candle. As you can see here, this is amplified. The red candle closure is amplified on the Bitcoin market, on the total solar eclipses. And in this way, I have backtested the 3 days before the solar eclipses and the 28 days after the solar eclipses. And these are the columns here, separate, so I can keep an eye on them to see if these figures will confirm the same days of significance. I knew the percentage would be different, but would they confirm the same days of significance, or will there be any contradictions of the days of significance? And as you can see, most days are the same of significance. However, there are some contradictions. So for example, day number 6 after the total solar eclipse have closed on a green candle 75% of the time, whereas day number 6 amongst all the solar eclipses is insignificant. Only 57% has closed on a green candle. So there are differences between them, and there are similarities as well. Right, now after I completed this backtesting, what is the next thing that I noticed here is that they have different lengths, those solar eclipses, and I wanted to really learn about those cycles. So some solar eclipses are followed by a normal full moon, and other solar eclipses are followed by a lunar eclipse. So as you can see, the way I have laid out this table assumes that the lunar eclipses are not important events, that the lunar eclipses are just simple full moons. And they could be, because at the moment we're not interested in the lunar eclipses. We're not making any assumptions about the importance of that cycle. So it makes sense that we can have at least one table where we ignore the importance of the lunar eclipses and we just lay them out as if they're equal to the rest of the full moons. But as you can see, there are quite a lot of them, but not all of them are lunar eclipses after the solar eclipses. Some of them are just ordinary full moons. Right, so after I obtained those results, I said, well, what if Now, if we make the assumption that actually the lunar eclipse is an important cycle by itself, and in that way, whenever there is a lunar eclipse, I have put it on a separate row. I have extracted, so I have laid out these solar eclipses in a different way, and I will show you now. That's table number 7. It begins exactly the same as table number 5, right? And then, as you saw in the table number 5, we reached a place here where the first lunar eclipse popped up on day number 14 after the solar eclipse in June 2011. We got a lunar eclipse. So what I have done here, look, I end this cycle. I end the cycle of the solar eclipse here, and I have moved those dates of the lunar eclipse on a completely different section, which is here. So this is now, this table has exactly the same closing candles, but you just laid out differently. This table is laid out under the assumption that the lunar eclipses are also an important cycle, and therefore they need to be kept separately. And again, I have backtested everything, right? I have calculated the occurrence of green closing candles, red closing candles, and I have obtained the percentages. The difference in this table as well is that it starts from the solar eclipse only. Guess why? Because the 3 days before the solar eclipse, they very often belong to the lunar eclipse cycle. So those 3 days before the solar eclipse will be right on the bottom of the table. These are the lunar eclipse cycles here. So these dates here are the 3 days before the solar eclipses. Okay, and now the first 13 days are exactly the same as the table which has the 28 days, as table 5, which has the 28 days after a solar eclipse, right? Only when I spotted the occurrence of the first lunar eclipse, that was on day number 14. So you see here, day number 14 after the solar eclipse. Only from day number 14 the lunar eclipses began. That's the first occurrence. Then we have here another one and another one. So only from day 14 the backtesting results started becoming different. Up until day 13 they are the same. So these are the results from backtesting only the solar eclipses in their purity, without any lunar eclipses. We have extracted the lunar eclipses separately, so we carry on with the backtesting here only of solar eclipse cycles, and some of them are short, some of them end on day number 14, on day number 13, perfectly fine. Then we backtest only whatever is left. Only whatever is left we backtest. This is what it looks like. When we remove the lunar eclipse cycles after the solar eclipses, because some of the solar eclipse cycles are very short, we have less remaining solar eclipses, but we still have some, and these are the last remaining here, solar eclipses. So some of them are very long. Okay, so I backtested all of that, and I've calculated all the percentages here on the left. And what I have done, I have extracted all of those results and I have put them in my monthly forecast for April. So this is my table that has the 28 days, which doesn't consider the lunar eclipses as important. That's the result. These are the results from that table. They begin from 3 days before the the solar eclipse. So this is the 8th of April here, that's the date, right? So that table had the 3 days before, that's why they're here, but these results are missing here because they're exactly the same as the table that excluded the lunar eclipses. Remember I said the first 13 days all eclipses are there, so these results repeat themselves, that's why I've removed them. Okay, that's why I removed them from these two columns. So the next set of columns here are the solar eclipse long cycles, the ones that are without any lunar eclipses there, right? So 8th of April is this one. So I showed you that table 7. I said there are no days before the solar eclipse day. It starts from the day of the solar eclipse, right? But here there are days before the solar eclipse. So where did they come from? They came from the bottom of the table. These days here before the solar eclipse, all days before the solar eclipse belong to the lunar eclipse cycle. So these are the 3 days here that you see that we don't have in the other tables, right? So that was another advantage of backtesting the lunar eclipse cycle separately, is that they started giving me days before the solar eclipse, because if we're going to be trading a solar eclipse, we don't have to enter the trade on the day of the solar eclipse. We can plan that trade a few days before. And then these the backtesting results in the last 3 columns, in these 2 columns here, are the backtested result of the total solar eclipse. Right? 3 sets of results. And I know it looks complicated, but it has to be done, because if we get only 1 set of results, we will have a skewed picture, and we're trying to obtain as much detailed picture as possible. So these are the 3 results from the separate tables. Okay, the first table is when all the solar eclipses are treated as equal. The last table is when only the total solar eclipses are extracted. The last set of columns, I mean. And the middle ones are when we backtested only the solar eclipses without the lunar eclipses. So they're all slightly different from each other. They're a lot different from each other, actually. And then what we should be doing is obtaining an average of those results. So for example, 2 days before the solar eclipse, on one backtesting here it says 60%, on the other one 61%, on the other one 63%. Which one is closest to what we're doing? Is the total solar eclipse. So ultimately we should be going by these figures, but it's useful also to keep an eye on the other figures as well. So this is the trading strategy for April. We keep an eye on these daily closing candles, and we're going to put this trading strategy to the test this year, this April. I have created a separate column here to backtest the accuracy. So the first column that says accuracy is just backtesting my accuracy in my predictions, and this column here is testing the accuracy of the eclipse trading strategy. Will really these dates here in April close according to the backtested results? And it's very interesting because my dates are different. So for example, in my opinion, the bottom will be the 10th of April, right? But here what the backtesting is saying is that 89% in the past has closed on a green candle. That is quite a big percentage. Quite a big percentage. And then the other one, 61% of the time has closed on a green candle. Kind of significant. On average, that's around 70%. So it's quite a high percentage, and I expect the 10th to be a red day. So let's see which has more weight, because my judgments here about those closing candles are based on many other variables here, esoteric variables. And now the eclipse trading strategy, the solar eclipse trading strategy, is giving different results. So I want to be testing that strategy separately to see which one will have more weight. I'm very interested to see what will turn out. And then at the end of the month we will measure the accuracy, and we will see which has more weight and how much weight this backtesting has for those cycles, how significant those cycles are. Because if they can predict these daily closing candles accurately above 65% of the time, that means that the cycles are very significant. But if they cannot predict above 65% of the time, that means that the cycles are weak. Either way, I had to do this to know for myself once and for all, are these eclipse cycles important or are they not? I really want to know this, because I don't like following what other people say. It was all vague statements from all quarters, even respectable financial astrologers. They're summing up exactly the same things, how important the eclipses are. Now, this method here, will tell us how important the eclipses are. If these candles come true according to those predictions here, 65% of the time or more, then yes, they are important. If not, no, they're not important. That will be it's a very important step forward in financial astrology to figure out those eclipses once and for all. Right, another thing that I wanted to show you, if we happen to get significant results this month in April, this will be mind-blowing research. Why? Because if it can predict the April, that means that the full cycle will predict the whole year. So let me show you my table 7. So this is starts from the eclipse, right? So the eclipse is on the 8th plus 22 days. That makes it the 30th of April, right? So this is where the table ends for the 30th of April, and from there on the backtesting begins for May. So this backtesting is already giving us indications on daily closing candles in May, and also on the overall pattern of May. And then after 31 days, so from 22 plus 31, that will make it 53, right? So after day 53 we're moving into June, and we see a very green June. We see the first half of June to be very green, and it's exactly what I expect. I expect Bitcoin top in June for 2024. And then we're moving on to July, and we see a very turbulent July. Now this cycle here, look at that, all significant red candles one after the other. So this is predicting that July will be a very turbulent month for Bitcoin, going down. If this is significant, if really this is one thing to count the candles and to get a significant result, it could be just by chance. We don't know unless we actually put it to the test now, this year. But look what it's looking for July, etc., etc., right? So let's see how it pans out in April. And if in April we get significant result, I will be using these cycles for the rest of the months as well. They give me very good confluence about my own ideas about the market. So in my previous video I already showed you why I think that June will be the Bitcoin top, because of those declinations. They all peak at the same time in June, and then all the planets turn on a southerly declination, and that's very bearish. Okay, and I have also created a table which actually summarizes the strategy here, as a lot of people like things to be spelled out for them. They say, okay, all of this research is good, but what is actually the strategy? When do I buy? When do I sell? So I've put this table together here using only the 3 days before the eclipse and the 3 days after the solar eclipse. Oh, actually I improved that table and I've forgotten that I've improved it. I have included 20 days after the solar eclipse. So the strategy begins from 3 days before the solar eclipse, and it ends 20 days after the solar eclipse, and it tells you every single day before the solar eclipse what to do, on what days to buy, on what days to sell. So I'm gonna be back testing this strategy as well. So if you are interested in this, in getting the final truth about these eclipses, how significant they are on the Bitcoin market once and for all, just follow these candles, check them every single day. 1 second, let me just go back to my table. All of these candles here, I will post them at some point, but also you can see them in the video as well, and you can keep backtesting them you can keep testing them, you can keep checking the daily closing candles. Okay, I hope this table is clear to you. People have complained in the past that they don't see the tables clearly. So these are the dates. These are my forecasts, and these are the forecasts here of the solar eclipses. Okay, green closures percentages, red closures percentages. Just monitor them every day and give them a tick for yourself, and let's see what happens at the end of the month. I'll make another video at the end of the month to report the results. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below. Very nice catching up with you, and bye for now.